What's happening with the YouTube? I'm back. I'm back. I'm out here working out, still getting it in. You feel me? The one thing I want to talk about today, man, is about you got to stop avoiding reality. Because the more you avoid reality, the more pain you're causing, the more suffering you're causing to your own life. See, you can avoid reality, but you can't avoid reality. I'm going to say that again. You can avoid reality, but you can't avoid reality. You know, avoiding reality in your life is like avoiding life. You know, a baby being born, you can't avoid that. If that baby, no matter how that baby come out or whatever, it's going to be born. It's got to come out. You understand what I'm saying? Pregnant with a woman, it's got to come out. So it's going to go those months, and when it's time to come out, it's time to come out. So that's life, and you can't stop that. You can't stop that. You can't stop death. Death is going to happen regardless of how you feel, whatever. I just lost a couple of people in my life. I lost my father. I lost my baby mother. I lost my cousin. You know what I'm saying? And all that stuff taught me, man. It just taught me, man, you can't avoid reality. You can't. You cannot avoid reality, man. And a lot of us, man, we'll go through life, man, and we think we can avoid reality, but we really can't. You can't avoid it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen regardless. And a lot of us, we might, have these grown-up tantrum tantrums. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care, and I don't want to do it no more, and my life got to be like this, and I must be crazy, and it must be something wrong with me. But nah, that ain't it. It's just you just complaining, man, about your own life, man. You have to live it. You know what I'm saying? It's reality, man. And like I said, man, like lying, I'm like that, Sometimes, man, I've lied so much because I've seen it so much. And what I've seen, when people lie and they manipulate, a lot of time they're trying to avoid things. When someone lies, man, that's all they doing, man. They trying to avoid. They trying to avoid reality. You understand what I'm saying? And they'll manipulate, they'll do whatever it takes to avoid reality for what it really is. So, and it taught me that, teachers, bosses, friends, parents, lies, people will tell lies just to avoid the truth, and like I said, life and death is the truth, and you cannot stop that, so that's what kept me from being so honest, you know what I'm saying? And I can be very honest. I could be very honest, but sometimes I can lie, and I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to lead my life with accepting the truth about myself and just accepting reality. I think that's what we all should try to work on. We all should, and it's hard. Trust me, it's hard. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I just lied like, man, like what, a couple of minutes ago, man, about something that I shouldn't even lie about. You know what I'm saying? Something real small, and it's like, man, and you lose your self-respect when you do that. So we have I know, and I just got things I just got to work on. I got things that I have to deal with in life, man. And like I said, you being taught that for so long, man, and you seeing everybody that does it, everybody do it. It's like, and you didn't really have too much people in your life that was actually honest with themselves and with you. It's going to be hard for you to even want to do this. So you're going to have hiccups. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have those type of things, and you got to deal with it. And a lot of us, we don't want mistakes. We can't stand mistakes. We can't stand failure. We can't stand the flaws that we have with each other. We can't stand none of that. And those are the things that's a part of you, and you have to accept it. Just don't let your weakness outweigh your strength. I'm going to say that again. Don't let your weakness outweigh your strength. You have a lot of strength, but you have a lot of weaknesses too that you have to work on. But that's one thing, I've noticed about my life. Everybody's life is just, we as human beings, we do not like to accept the truth. We don't like to accept the truth at all. And man, the truth is everything. Honesty is everything. The more honesty You know, I I talked about in my last video, man, about just finding yourself. You know, you'll never be able to find yourself if you're not honest. You know, the more you avoid things, the more things that you're afraid of. A lot of times, man, if you're more honest, man, the less fear you will have. You know, a lot of people be scared and stuff, man, but you won't be so scared. You won't be so scared of rejection. You won't be so scared of not being accepted if you can just accept yourself and be your best friend and trust yourself. But the only way you're going to be able to trust yourself is with honesty. You know, it's just like, give an example. It's like some of us, if you tell somebody, you know, they made a mistake, if somebody come to you and just say, you know what, I made a mistake. And you be like, okay, you made a mistake. I don't know, what should I do? I just feel so bad. And you will tell that person, man, you shouldn't make no mistake like that. You mean, don't worry about no mistakes like that. I'm sorry. Don't worry about no mistakes. You know, you shouldn't worry about that. It's just a mistake. That's it. But why is it so hard for us to tell ourselves that? You know, why is it so hard to say, you know what, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have did that. But next time I'm going to make sure I do the right thing. That's it. That's all it takes, man. You know, just give yourself a chance. Accept your reality. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you cannot ignore reality. You know what I'm saying? You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore reality at all. It's going to always be there. You know what I'm saying? To hit you dead off in your face and say, I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you try to get rid of me. Yeah, you try to ignore me. Yeah, you try to, you know, manipulate me. Yeah, you try to lie to me. Yeah, you try to do all that, but I'm still here though. And you still got to deal with the pain. You still got to deal with the suffering. You still got to deal with this, you know? So you might as well, you know, put your big girl drawers on, put your, you know what I'm saying, put your band drawers on and just walk through the fire, you know? And it get hot in the kitchen. It gets real hot in the kitchen, man. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been honest, you know, for the last, you know, month or so. But something happened, and you know, something happened to me that made me feel like, man, dang, why am I being honest? But then it made me turn around and just start being dishonest again. But I can't do that. I have to keep on going and being honest, no matter how much mistakes I make, how much trouble I get in, or whatever. I have to be honest, and I have to be able to tell the truth. Because, like I said, if you don't tell the truth, man, you just telling yourself that you don't accept yourself, you don't respect yourself, and you don't trust yourself. So you have to be honest. And it does a lot. It's a lot that goes with being honest. I never even thought, because, you know, I never even thought, never knew that lying would affect you in so many ways. It affects your character. You know what I'm saying? It affects, you know, your well-being, your mindset. You know, it affects a lot of things, man. It affects the people that are around you. It affects you. The most important thing, you. You know, so we have to stop trying to ignore reality, man. Because you can't ignore reality. Love, peace, and power. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment.